you guys let me know if there's any scary movies that I did not mention here that I should really check out this year. Hello, everybody. We've reached that time of year. The spooky season has begun. So, I thought I would just share a few recommendations, quote unquote, some of my favorite horror movies. So, I kind of got some of these split up into genres. They do kind of overlap somewhat because sometimes they're more than one thing. But we're going to start off with my favorite or least favorite, depending. Alien movies freak me out, man. So I got just a few alien movies to suggest here. One being the original Alien, I think is just a certified classic. I have not seen it in quite a while, but it was. I remember watching it and thinking it's a pretty good movie. The original Alien, Aliens, which is the second one, is pretty good as well. The next movie is from 1982, is The Thing, which beyond just being a horror movie and one of my favorite movies, it's honestly one of my favorite movies of all time. There's a whole lot of practical effects, and what I mean by that is like they actually build the monsters and they're actually there. And practical effects always really hold up super well when they're done very well. There is some stop motion in it, which does not hold up at all. But The Thing, I've watched so many times. John Carpenter's 1982, The Thing is such a good movie. I really enjoy it. And then last but not least is a little bit more mystery, suspense until the end is Signs. Like, for the longest time, if you haven't seen Signs, it's got Mel Gibson in it. There's a part early on in the movie that you see like the full silhouette of the alien, and for years I didn't realize that. And I was at home with my mom, we were watching it sometime, and I was like, "Hey, hold up, let me watch it. Let me rewind this." I look back, and I just like instantly like just chills down my spine. I'm just like, holy! I've been watching this whole time, and I've never seen this thing here. Like I'm getting like a little tears in my eyes thinking about it. Like it's spooky as hell, you know, just like, oh man, that thing's been watching them the whole time. Like, oh shit. Even though obviously I should have seen it because they're like, oh, I saw something out there, and they act like they saw something, but I'm like, I didn't. And it's like I finally saw it at home later. So that's 3 alien movies, and there's some, like I said, that kind of overlap, but we'll talk about it. Next is ghost and demonic movies, and for me personally, this is kind of like this is the middle area, right? This is like, hey, these movies can scare me and will scare me, but you have to really sometimes let yourself just fall into the disbelief. Like you have to really let yourself go, stop thinking about the movie, just be in it, you know what I mean? Because my number one on this list is because me and my wife were the only ones in the theaters watching it. So it was like really intimate, and it's like it's all dark in a big room, you know what I mean? So it plays a part when you can just really immerse yourself. You got to give movies a chance. Now there are just some stupid things that take you out of it, but I think the original Conjuring, I just watched it last week. The original Conjuring is pretty good. As far as ghost movies go, it's pretty good. And then of course, the number one thing about these franchises is they become a franchise because you got to milk them, right? That's the way horror movies are. So Annabelle Creation, which is like the prequel, which showed you know, how Annabelle became Annabelle. Dude, that was the one that we watched in the movie theaters alone, and oh my god, dude, I was so scared. I was just like, I was lost, because like there's a certain point in the movie where it's like they do some stuff and all of a sudden it's like right before the end, right where you wouldn't expect it, right? They just start going bam, 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 bam. Like they start hitting you with a bunch of them in a row, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna breathe. I got time to breathe. You don't have time to breathe. Like they keep hitting you with them. So Annabelle Creation, old, not. I mean, it's kind of old. Lights Out is one that was on Netflix. I believe it's on Netflix. I'm not 100% sure, but it's called Lights Out, and It is based off a short film there was, and they like expanded it. But that movie gets right into it. Like if you want a movie that doesn't mess around, lights out, gets right into it. Pretty spooky that I can remember. There's a few scares in it. I'm partial because it was when I was in high school, maybe middle school. No, it was high school. Paranormal Activity 1 and 2, like that was the kind of the waning of the found footage era, like the surveillance cameras and stuff. Before they just turned into a full blown like big super franchise and stuff. I think Paranormal Activity 1 and 2 are actually kind of spooky. My mom would disagree immensely. If she's watching this, she's probably like, "Oh, those movies aren't even scary at all." Like, but I think they're spooky. I just like some of those things. Like, think about the situation. Like, what do you even do? You know what I mean? Another one that's an old throwback is called Darkness Falls. It's essentially about the Tooth Fairy, I think. And that is, I'm not sure if that's a ghost or demonic, but it's just kind of supernatural. I remember it being pretty spooky back in the day. It might not hold up anymore because it's pretty old, but Darkness Falls was one back in the day that everyone I talked to agreed. It was like, oh yeah, it's a scary movie. Another one I just watched, and this one's weird. Hereditary. Me and my wife watched this because it was on many of the top, like, 5 scariest movies of all time. This movie feels like it's like 3 hours long. It feels like nothing happens in this movie for like 2 hours. Legit. Like, it is a super slow burn. But in the end, it's like, I don't know if the scares in the end are worth it. But the story in general is what really messed with me ever since I got off the movie. Which, then I'm like, is it a good movie? Because it's like, when I'm watching it, I'm not entertained, right? Like, I'm not. I'm sitting there, I'm like, multiple times I was like, hey, if this movie don't get going, I'm gonna turn it off. Like, I'm not wasting one of my off nights for this. Like, it's legitimately how I was with the movie. Like, I just, like, there's nothing going on. Like, nothing. Like, at all. What is this story? Where are we going? But in the end, what really messes with me, and this is, I don't know if this would be, like, slight spoilers for you going into it, but it's kind of like, if you were like a fly on the wall, not omniscient, like you don't have ideas about what's happening outside. You're just like, it was like you were a disembodied person in the room with this family, is the way it feels. And then they're like, it's kind of like a lamb being stalked by some wolves, is the way I'm gonna put it. Like, that's the vibe I get. And the more I think about all the little things that were lining up throughout the movie after you watch it, it honestly makes me feel a little uncomfortable. Which then it's like, hey, I think the movie is enjoyable after you're done with the movie, in a weird way, right? I'm like, I'm sitting here, I'm freaking out, thinking about all this. My wife's like, oh, it was a crap movie, it was garbage. She sounds like the chocolate lady from SpongeBob. But yeah, Hereditary. It's a really weird one. It's really long, and it's a slow burn. But who knows? You might think it's really scary, and once you think about stuff like the after fact, it gets pretty... It's on, you know what I mean? And then my last one for ghost and demonic movies is Evil Dead 2013. Super violent, super gory, kind of body horror in a way, not really, but like, you know what I mean? Like that old school when things are possessed, they're like morphing and all crazy looking, and I thought it was actually a good remake, to be honest with you. I kind of wish I kept going with it, because it was like they were like going to interchange timelines or something like that. That was kind of what they're thinking about doing. It seemed like, but yeah, that's my ghost and demonic movies. Monster movies. I saw this one, but this one's kind of like near and dear to me because like they made a movie called Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, right? It's based off of a couple of books that have short stories in them. And I remember because my grandmother was reading these short stories to me when I was like 6 or 7. Like, I didn't realize they were scary stories, you know what I mean? She just tell me stories. It's messed up, man. Messed up, Nana. So Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. My wife was watching it when I came home one day, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty good." Like, I didn't watch the whole thing, right? So I can't give you 100% recommendation. I'm just saying it looked like it was decent, pretty decent. There's plenty of different creatures and things that happen in the movie that are it's kind of messed up. So next is in the monster movies, which is kind of like alien movies. Is I think Quiet Place 1 and 2 are actually pretty good. Quiet Place 1 is different than Quiet Place 2 because at the end of Quiet Place 1, you finally get real good looks at what you're looking at the things. You know what I mean? It's just like Alien. It's just like Alien. You know what the alien is. You know what I mean? And then Alien 2 is like more suspense. Like there is some scary parts to it, but it is more suspense, like monster suspense, than it is just straight up horror. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And then I guess I put at the end here, I put like Jaws ? For monster movies because it's like it's aging. It's definitely aging, but Jaws was revolutionary, man. Like it like legitimately hurt tourism for a while. It's pretty funny. But dude, in the actual world, out of all this that we talked about, Jaws is the thing where you are just you're fucked. You're done. You're done. If you're out in the water, maybe not in the boat, but you're out in the water and there's a shark and it's going to bite you, you're probably done, bro. You know what I mean? Like the rest of this, fake, not fake, whatever you believe, Jaws can happen. Jaws could happen. So I think for some people, Jaws is probably one of the scariest movies, honestly. And the reason why a lot of people don't go to the beach. So this next zombie movies, I am not a fan of zombie movies whatsoever. I'm never ever liked zombie movies. I don't know. I think they're so stupid. Which I guess after all this, I always thought, hey, there's enough movies and stuff about zombies and, that if zombies actually happen, it'd be the people take care of it, which clearly watching all the COVID shit is completely wrong, and I should probably be completely terrified of zombies, but, beyond the fact. Here's a couple of zombie movies that I haven't watched, but I have heard good things about. Train to Busan. I'm not sure if it's, dubbed or subbed or whatever, but I've heard good things about it. And then I think 28 Days Later I think is another one that could be put on that list where it's like, hey, you should probably watch 28 Days Later, and I will sometime. I just have not gotten around to it. I should sometime. Maybe this month. October's long, so 2 zombie movies. Vampire movies. Which I guess we're getting kind of like nitty gritty here. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, like, do you really need vampire movies? Because like in my mind, I'm like, how many like horror movies are there, right? Because I always feel like vampire movies are like different. Like, I feel like they're more suspense and horror. But I put I Am Legend on here. There are some spooky parts in I Am Legend, and if you think about that situation, like it is actually pretty terrifying, especially like when they're trying to go to sleep and laying in the bathtub and you just hear everything going crazy and you see a thing stalking in the dark. That's pretty crazy, which I mean, I don't know if they actually are vampires. They just like don't like the sun kind of thing. Anyways, next is 30 Days a Night. I think 30 Days a Night is actually like just the creatures. Like maybe the movie's not that scary, but the creatures themselves absolutely terrifying. And to think about that, like, like Alaska being dark all those days and stuff, like, oh my God, Jesus Christ, like, just, you can't get rid of them. The sun ain't coming to save you, you know what I mean? Terrifying to actually think about that. I actually like the Fright Night remake. I put that on there in case you haven't checked that out before. I thought it was okay. A good homage to the OG Fright Night. It's not like revolutionary or anything, but I did like the Fright Night remake. And then last year I have Lost Boys, which they're talking about redoing, and they also did like a not sequel, another one, and it was trash. It was terrible. But yeah, Lost Boys is another classic that I really enjoyed. I think I like that one more because my parents really enjoyed it and had a bunch of music that they listened to back in the day. So thanks for all of these. Thanks for just really messing me up when I was a kid, guys. I really appreciate it. Just watching all this horror. Dude, my mom My mom watched horror stuff all the time. So that's a few of the movies that I recommend for this Halloween season. If you're looking for some spooks. Thank you guys for watching so much. Have a happy Halloween. I'll see you next time.